All right, welcome to another episode of the NFL Outdated Cover 2 series. This episode, we were talking about Philadelphia Eagles, and we are joined by Philly halftime. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. Thanks for
Absolutely.
having me on.
Well, thanks for coming on. Definitely want to get a lot of your takes on the Eagles. There's so much to be excited about for your team. When you look at obviously going to the Super Bowl, tough loss, but really when you look at all of the positives and how you've grown, Jalen Hurts has grown, and all the different pieces you
Right.
have, and general managers. There's just a lot of positive things about the Eagles right now, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, you can look at our defense. I mean, we almost got to the Bears record of the most sacks in
Mm-hmm.
1 year. Like, and a lot of people don't understand that, but that's a milestone. That's just outrageous what the Bears done. And the Eagles were right there. And you would never think you would ever see a team get that high ever again. So that you had people had to look at that, the interception ratio that the Eagles were doing. Um, Jalen Hurts, he has blown people away of how they seen him in the beginning, and then he went to training camp with Tom Brady's quarterback, and he went with another head coach to work on his craft, and he looked totally different when he started. So yeah, it's crazy right now.
Now, were you all in on Jalen Hurts, or is this kind of like
No,
throughout
I
last season?
wasn't.
Yeah.
I was not.
Hmm.
I'm one of the Eagles fans and will admit when I first seen him, no, because he wanted to run the ball more than throw the ball, and you're not going to win championships like that. And then Jalen Hurts went to did all that, and he outdid him, performed himself. He deserves what the money that he just got. So he outperformed a lot of what people's expectations were. They didn't think no Eagles fan thought we were going to the Super Bowl in this year. But yeah, he outperformed everything.
Well, yeah, obviously the quarterback is the most important position in NFL, but talk about like adding AJ Brown and then the
Oh,
Eagles wide receivers as well. What
like if
their
you look
importance?
we got two number one wide receivers. We don't have one, we have two. See, and that's what the whole thing is. So when we drafted and we traded for AJ Brown, every Eagles fan blew up because he's a number one, and we got him for peanuts. And people need to realize we got him for peanuts. Then we have Devontae Smith. Everybody knew he is the number one. And then we have our tight end Goddard. He's a number one tight end. He's about the best fifth tight end in the league. So I mean, like we do need a little help on like wide receivers behind them in case they
Mhm.
get hurt, but we're we're pretty good on our offensive line. Nobody you can't give them enough praise. Not I mean, they don't give up much sacks. Lane Johnson was hurt and not gave up one sack last year. Nobody's like looking at that. Like we you had to figure that one out. I mean, our offensive line was top of the league. That's why we went so far.
Yeah, I mean, you had Jason Kelsey in there, Landon Dickerson,
Yeah.
even Jordan Mailata, like really been solid as well, right?
Yep. They're all been everybody's been super healthy. And now the Eagles just got Swift. I mean, Swift's gonna he dominated in Detroit. And they went and got rid of him for what? I mean, I think he broke Barry Sanders' touchdown record last year, if I'm not mistaken.
That was Jamal Williams.
Oh, that was Jamal Williams.
The one thing about Swift, though, Swift has a ton of talent, and he's been injured, and so are you worried about that at all, kind of adding him onto the team with this injury history, or?
Well, I see it like this. See, Swift was being used way too much, and the Eagles are not going to use him as much because we also have Penny now. So
Hmm.
that's a good combination where they're not putting all that pressure on them. You're not going to run uh 50 times. I don't need you to run 50 times. I don't need you to run 60, 70 times. I need you just to run enough to get the Eagles to get it off where Jalen Hurts can actually put the ball where he needs to put it and give
What
him a little time.
what
Now
about
I got Jalen Hurts that could run too.
I agree. What about Kenneth Gainwell? Like, would he be a big piece continuing going forward with the Eagles now? I mean, obviously, you look at DeAndre Swift, but like, is Kenneth Gainwell going
They
to be?
have
Yeah.
so much, and you don't know what's going to happen. So can Gainwell and Boston Scott do punt returns and kick returns? Because that's our weakness. That's the Eagles' weakness. If anybody really, if that's what you're looking for, the Eagles' weakness is the punt return, kick return, because we don't go nowhere. So can they help us out with that? I mean, but the Eagles are going to have like a 3-headed monster, 4-headed monster. They're going to always switch off with the running backs.
And I think that'll be important, and a big part of it, you talked about the line being really important. It seemed to come together. I mean, you have AJ Brown, you have, just an amazing route runner in Devontae Smith. I love him as well. He's fantastic. And then
Yeah,
you have this offensive line, just everything kind of coming together just to help the offense continue to grow. And when you look at this team, going to the draft, I mean, I'm not sure, what you kind of saw some needs as, but talk about that Eagles draft and just, I mean,
they
a lot of people
filled
are saying that the
every
Eagles
need.
won the draft. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they filled every need.
Hmm.
I mean, you got Jalen Carter. Yes, there's question marks on him. You don't know if he's going to be healthy. You don't know if he's going to be mentally ready or physical ready because he wasn't in the combine. He didn't want to do nothing because he wasn't physical ready. So that's a question mark. But he was supposed to go number one.
Hmm.
He is the best in the draft. Now, does every draft pan out? No, because the Eagles were dealing with a guy, Mike Mamula.
Hmm.
Okay, Mike Mamula. We went up and got him at I think it was 7 or 6 back in the day, and he threw a big old goose egg. But in the draft, when he went to the combine, he outperformed. He still has records in the combine. So you don't know if that guy's going to perform or not. You got to wait and see. It's all wait and see.
And obviously, yeah, it's a good mix of seeing them perform at the combine, but also I'm sure now interviews and then also game tape. I mean, that's huge. And when you look at him, obviously, Jalen Carter was a target. A lot of people had him going to the Bears.
Yeah.
I was happy the Bears traded back with the Eagles and didn't pick him. Not because, I mean, he's a huge talent, but as far as, I mean, we talked about just, the question marks on him. He just didn't seem to fit at all with where the Bears are going right now, and just not having an established locker room. And so I really like Jalen Carter with the Eagles because it does seem to be like the perfect fit for just that veteran locker room and a proven locker room that went to the Super Bowl now, and they can just say, "Hey, this is what we need from you," and really kind of keep him in line.
Yeah, and he could take over Fletcher Cox's position because Fletcher Cox, let's be honest, is getting ready to retire.
Hmm.
You know, then like the Eagles went and got Nolan Smith. First of all, if when you're an Eagles fan, you know we don't go linebacker in the first round. Never do, never did, never will. And I never thought it was going to happen, and they did. But then again, I didn't think we were going to ever use 2 first-round draft picks because the Eagles never done that. That's another thing. Back in it happened once back in late '80s. So it's just, but Nolan Smith is a great pick. That's another guy that everybody's going to not realize what he's going to be.
And you got all these players. I mean, they're not necessarily expected to start right away. They're really kind of depth pieces right now,
No,
aren't
they're
they?
just death.
Yeah.
They're just death. They're not ready. They're not ready to come out of there. They're just death. And they all played together. That's a like they so they should be already synchronized. They should know what that guy's gonna make his move. So it's
Yeah.
pretty cool that we got all friggin' the Bulldogs.
It is, yeah. I mean, really, all of these successful Georgia Bulldog players coming and going to be an impact, long term. Obviously, when you look at this team, they are built for now, but then also built for long term. And when you
Yes.
look at, this defense, then we talked a little bit about some of the players. What do you see some of their keys and maybe even weaknesses? Obviously, said special teams maybe is a weakness. What are some other defensive keys and maybe weaknesses?
Well, keys are the corners. I really, really love that we got our corners back and we got them cheap. Um, Weaknesses, you would still have to say safety.
Mhm.
Our safety's weak, even though we drafted a safety and he's ready to go now. And I'm super excited that we have a safety, but like I had that safety as Palomalo. He's going to be like a Palomalo. No, he's not
Mm.
going to jump over the line like Palomalo did, but he's a ball hawk. He's going to be able, and he can be able to call plays and understand that because that guy's that smart. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to learn how to call plays and know when to switch it up when he has to.
I'm an Iowa Hawkeye, and I had a chance to, obviously watch that Illinois secondary, and you got Witherspoon and then Sidney Brown, and that it was an amazing secondary. Now, adding him to your Eagles, I think that's definitely a piece that will be interesting to watch kind of into the training camp. And when you kind of look at, training camp storylines, obviously you want to continue to see Jalen Hurts continue to grow. What are some other storylines that you're kind of watching when you uh, pay attention to the training camp that's coming up this summer?
It's funny because I've been thinking about since we were going to do this. I'm like, what would be something that's going to happen? I'm like, Howie Roseman is not done yet. Never will be. The dude is like a machine and he figures stuff out. And I was against Howie Roseman, but he has turned a corner where he's starting to great players and for cheap and all. So you might see more defensive line players coming in because we lost a lot. That's another thing. We lost a lot of players. So
I was going to
yeah,
say,
I think Howie Roseman's not done making picking up free agents.
yeah. I mean, when you look at it, there really are a lot of big names still on the board free agent wise. And are there any that you would like to see them target at all?
Clowney.
Clowney, yeah.
I think Clowney will be here. But they're going to find out what they in training camp. They're going to find out. But I think Clowney will be here,
Yeah,
even though
that
he
would
said he wants to go back to Houston. But I think he wants to try for one more Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah, and when you look at it, the Eagles are really kind of primed to kind of move into that elite category to have this another Super Bowl. When you look at the things the teams that are in the way, what NFC teams worry you the most about 2023? Against the Eagles.
We had to go in the NFC or just the whole schedule.
Just the NFC right now. I mean, if you're, obviously the AFC is
Well, I'm
just
not worried
stacked.
about no team. I'm not worried about Dallas. I ain't
Yeah.
worried about the Giants. I'm not worried about. I think Dallas is going to get shut out by the Eagles
Mm-hmm.
this year, and I think the Giants. The Giants are the close one that's going to give us a run. I don't think they're going to let us keep on beating them. I think they're going to at least win one off of us.
The Giants are interesting because they don't necessarily have all the talent yet, but they've got the
Made
coaching.
good draft picks.
They did,
They
yeah.
made real good draft picks. I'm an Eagles fan. And I will tell you, they actually got, you know, they got a Kelsey. They went and drafted a Kelsey, small guy, but fast as heck. They
Hmm.
got themselves a Kelsey. That's what they went and focused on. They went and got help on offensive line, which they needed.
And they got Darren Waller. That's I picked him up in fantasy in my
Yeah,
dynasty league. I like what he has the opportunity to do. It's just hard to really trust Daniel Jones,
right.
But you have a good coach, and it seems like they have a good connection there. That really could be. It's going to be interesting to see. What they're going to do following up. Last year's playoff campaign.
Yeah, they're not gonna let us beat them twice. I think we beat Dallas twice. I think we beat Washington twice. But Dallas, they lost Zeke. They're they're kind of hurting.
Hmm.
Their offensive line's hurting. Not a lot of people. Everybody. Some people still like their line, but I think their line's old and it's hurting.
So when you look at other NFC teams like the Detroit Lions are up and coming, do they worry you at all?
Don't worry me this year. This year they don't worry me. But there's a coach out there that is gonna be a great coach, and Deuce Daly should have been an Eagles head coach. He should be a head coach. And if you watch the running game, Deuce Daly, telling you that dude has a mindset, and he makes them guys know how to cut and all. So he's very rough on his guys, but that's how you should be. I like Deuce Daly a lot. That dude he's gonna have a running game. Be scared of the running game because it's coming.
I agree. I agree. What about the 49ers? I mean, do they worry
49ers
you?
don't have a quarterback.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they have a good team. They got running backs. They have friggin' everything. They don't have the number one thing you need, a quarterback. Their quarterbacks, and this is all because of 49er fans, but they sit there and cry about, oh, we would have beat you if our quarterback didn't get hurt. Your quarterback got hurt, and that was your third string quarterback. What do you mean? If he's your third string, and then you went to your fourth string, and then he got hurt, they went to just a what was he, a tight end? It's like, what are you doing?
It's so crazy, like how well they did, eh, getting to the NFC Championship game. So they're always going to be, I think, in the mix, in the conversation. But it starts and ends this year with the Eagles. I mean, they proved it last year. They proved that they were able to kind of get over the hump, and I really like Jalen Hurts and just his demeanor and everything. What do you think? Obviously he had a help lead the team to the Super Bowl. What do you see Jalen Hurts needing to improve on the most, as he continues to
Improve.
progress?
Oh, that's a good question. Improve on. Well, he did. He all my expectations that I had for him, doing check downs, reading defenses. Um, they said he had the long ball, but I knew he had a long ball. That wasn't my problem with him. It was reading the defense and doing check downs was my problem because he only went from, all right, read this one. He ain't open. I'm gone. Now he don't do that. He'll do three different checkdowns, four different checkdowns, then run. And I'm cool with that. That's Randall Cunningham altogether. I'm great with that. But something that he needs to work on. Now I'm gonna get a lot of trouble for this one, but he has to stay more healthy.
Mm-hmm.
He's been injured, and so far I think it's been 2 years, three maybe 2 years that he has been having to have to after the end of the year he would have to have surgery, and that's got to stop. You can't be injured every year. You got to go through the whole. You got to give me one whole season. I need one whole season. But
And he
Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback, but he has to stay healthy sometimes.
and he's a big dude too. He's not a tiny quarterback.
Yeah, and he can squat 600 pounds, but you got to stay healthy. I mean, he just had two ankle surgeries. I think it was.
Oh, did we lose you? Oh, you still there? Let's bring him back here. Oh, maybe we lost you. Let me know when you're back. Yeah, I really like Jalen Hurts. I like what he brings to the offense. I like what he brings, all around. It was kind of cool to see his development. When you look at the Eagles, it looks like they have their franchise guy. Philly halftime. Looks like we're frozen here. We'll keep going. We'll see if we can get you back. Now, when you look at the Eagles, they have that trajectory. They have that, if he continues to grow, you got the defense. I think that will be interesting. And we'll see if he comes back. All right, here we go. We
Sorry,
got you back.
my bad.
That's
Yeah,
right. I was hoping it wasn't the disappearance after halftime.
no, it was. I just froze. Bad connection.
So, yeah, I
So
mean,
yeah, so he has to get he has to stay healthy.
he does. And, and obviously, I bring this up a lot because all the things that you're talking about, it sounds like what everyone has been saying about Justin Fields. Talk about that maybe connection and maybe what DJ Moore, could he be something similar to Justin Fields as AJ Brown was to Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, you guys got a great pick. You guys got a steal. DJ Moore is my favorite wide receiver as of right now. Like, yeah, I like AJ Brown, but my favorite wide receiver is DJ Moore. I want the Eagles to get him.
What
I'm
do you
like
like about him? Like, what does he do
his
best?
route running, his
Mhm.
route running, his money, his hands. He don't drop. You put it in his direction, he grabs it. Now, can your quarterback get him there?
Mhm.
And your quarterback's good, but the problem is you don't have an offensive line.
Mhm.
You need more help on your offensive line. To me, that's my opinion. But I see the outside. I don't see the inside. Like you guys are watch them every week. I don't get to watch them every week.
I would
The
agree.
offensive
Yes.
line is not helping him, so he's panicking, just like Jalen Hurts did in the beginning. Jalen Hurts panicked. It's look at one read and that's it, and I'm running. I know I can beat the guy with my legs. I'm worried about trying to beat him with my arm.
Mhm.
And he needs to realize that you can't win championships like that. You can't put it all on yourself to win you games. Is he a great runner? Yeah, he's outstanding. Can
I was to say I would agree. It's so interesting. Obviously I talked with a lot of Packer fans, and they say, well, he's not going to last long. He didn't win very much. But it's not just one player, and I'm sure you were hearing that from a lot of maybe Eagle fans or even like division opponents last year. Jalen Hurts can't do this, can't do that. When you watch and continue to see the growth of Jalen Hurts, I mean, uh, what excites you most about him and this team?
the unknown?
Mm-hmm.
The unknown. It's just like you and your team. It's the unknown. You know how good your quarterback is if you put talent around him. Give him an offensive line, give him a running back, and like give him weapons to work his craft. He gets 100% better. Jalen Hurts wasn't that good in the beginning until he got weapons around him. You went and got weapons. You got guys that can catch the ball. I mean, we lost the Super Bowl, but Quez Watkins came up short. Perfect ball.
Mm-hmm.
Quez Watkins came up short. That's a problem for the Eagles. Your third wide receiver coming up short.
Well, and here's the thing, credit where credit is due, and I was the one on podcast saying last year this time that the Chiefs were going to be last in their division, right? But when it comes down to it, right now in the NFL, Pat Mahomes is that dude. Like he can
He
do it, and it,
listen, sidearm Mahomes, he
yeah.
can do it any which way he wants. He can throw it between his legs. I don't care what that guy does. You can't stop him for some odd reason.
And when he was hurt, he was, without that scramble, the Eagles win that game. It was just Mahomes willing himself to win. And when you have the way the Eagles performed the season and the way they performed in that Super Bowl, that was an exciting Super Bowl. They were there. And if you take a player or two away, Mahomes, just how great he is, the Eagles win that game. And
The reason
when
why we
you
lost that game is our defensive coordinator.
okay, and now he's gone, right?
Yeah. But guess what I got? I got the same guy. I got the same guy, and he coached for the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
So, but guess what? Everybody's like, oh well, he had had the second best defense in the league. My guy had the freaking first, and everybody wanted his head cut off. He had the best. But guess what? It doesn't matter. If Andy Reid's sitting there saying, hey, I'm going to throw the ball to the right side, and nobody's covering somebody, and he goes in for a touchdown, and Andy Reid goes, hey, we're going to do the same play. We're going to do opposite. And what's happened? Nobody in sight.
Mm-hmm.
You can't blame the players. You have to blame the coach. And the coordinator does not get the guy in the right position. That's how you lose football games.
Well, speaking of losing, I mean, you obviously lost the defensive coordinator and your offensive coordinator. Are you worried about the offense at all, under the new coordinator?
I'm not worried about the offense, but I am concerned about the defensive coordinator. But this also, now a lot of Eagles fans are going to sit there and get on me, but a lot of the Eagles fans are like, oh no, 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 our defensive coordinator is going to be fine. You got to give him a chance. But guess what? The Eagles don't think if he don't pan out, they went and got a second option. Matt Patricia.
Mm.
They went and got Matt Patricia. So what does that tell you? They don't trust him. Maybe if he fails, that they have to go get. He has to jump in. And then you also had Nick Sirianni say he wants be part of the defense now. I don't need you to be
Mm.
part of my defense. I need you
Mm-hmm.
to run the offense.
Mm-hmm. And to be the CEO, I think that's important too.
Yes.
And
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
speaking of the offense, here's my guy Trevor. Philly has a good chance of winning the NFC again. Obviously, yeah, they do.
Yes,
I mean,
100%. They win the
yep.
NFC. They're going to win the NFC this year.
And really, it could be a repeat. Eagles Chiefs when you look at it. With it is tough to go back to back. I think that's probably going to be the issue because of the gauntlet of the AFC. But when you look at the Eagles, I mean, you're not worried about the Vikings again. Definitely not worried about the Packers, right? I got to throw that in there.
You got love. Come on, man.
Right, right,
Everybody
right.
knows what love is. Love is not even a. That's why they kept Aaron Rodgers for so long
Mm-hmm.
because they know love is not there yet.
And
Now they
that's
just
okay.
had to pay him a boatload of money.
And that's okay. I think you need to, looking at your roster, and there's time to kind of, build. And with the Eagles, obviously you got a fantastic GM and who has made, seem to be all the right moves to keep them in the conversation year after year. And that's really, as a Bears fan or any NFL, fan of any team, that's what you want. You want your team to be in the conversation. And obviously the Eagles are going to be there. My question is, we talked about, offense, defense. We talked about this a little bit offline, a little bit in fantasy football. So my question is, as a fan, are you targeting any, specific Eagles players, you know, because what they can be?
Well, if you're going the fantasy football route, Swift is a must. He's a must. Jalen Hurts is a must. If you're going first round, you can get Jalen Hurts, you pick him up. If
Do
you
you,
can get Swift, then you get Swift.
do you think, obviously with what the Eagles do in offense with Jalen Hurts just kind of like pushing behind that offensive line and getting the touchdowns, do you think Swift is going to,
Don't
obviously,
use Swift now for that because
mm,
they did the NFL just made a rule because of quarterbacks cannot get pushed in the back no more.
I thought they kept that.
They made that rule. I thought they made that rule. I think they made that rule. It's you're not allowed to push. He's allowed to push you, but you're not allowed to go behind the quarterback and push him. But you could do that for a running back. I don't
Mm,
understand it. It's just a stupid rule because the
interesting.
Eagles are so good at it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's if you're good at it. I mean, that's just something you want to
So
keep
it's like
doing.
we got penalized because we're too damn good.
So, fantasy football wide receivers. AJ Brown's a no brainer.
Devontae
Um,
Smith be a no brainer.
I agree. And so, when you look at the other wide receivers, Quez Watkins, do you think he's going to have enough share in just kind of a normal redraft league to
He's gonna
say,
have the same. He's gonna have the same share,
hmm,
but he might he might get let go.
really?
He might be one of those guys that you know if we can find another wide receiver, he might be on the chopping block. Because to
Yeah,
me, he has fumbled and like when he's not playing, he won't knock the ball down if somebody's trying to intercept it and he's right there. If that makes any sense to you, if you
yeah,
don't,
absolutely. Yeah,
you know what I
you
mean.
want him.
He's not
You
playing like he won't play that. Hey, let's just bat this down because I can't get it or nothing. But somebody else is grabbing it. Like a defensive player is going to have it. He won't try to stop that.
Yeah, I mean, you want a player that's going to be all in and have that fight with them. And obviously, they're going to be misses. Whether it's bad pass or something. But you want a player to stay with it through the entire play. And if Quez Watkins is going to do that, yeah, I mean that'll be
You don't
interesting to
want you
see.
don't want a guy that has alligator arms.
Mm-hmm. What about the pickup of Zacchaeus? I mean, is he just kind of a depth piece?
Yeah, I think he's a deaf piece.
But yeah, and you look at fantasy, Dallas Goddard obviously is a no brainer. If he would, I don't like to talk about this too much, but if he would get hurt, how much of a drop off is like Dan Arnold behind Dallas Goddard?
Um, it'll be a huge drop off
Mm-hmm.
because of Goddard's route running, and he don't get a praise enough for it. Now, I like what you call it's blocking, but his route running is horrible. I don't like his route run. People don't say it enough. The route running is the key
Mm-hmm.
because Jalen Hurts needs to know you're going to be there. He's counting in his head. Every quarterback counts in his head. One Mississippi, two Mississippi, three Mississippi. You should be here, and I'm chucking the ball. He might have his eyes closed. I'm chucking the ball. You should be here anyway. I don't care what happens. And that's just the thing. The route running is the key of all of it.
I
Even
would
on
agree.
with
Yep.
the Chicago Bears, your
Mm-hmm.
guys, if your route running is bad, what happens? Pick
Yeah, the whole
six.
thing's yep, pick
Pick
six.
six.
Yep.
You're
You
gone.
want to be able to trust your guys, and that's just I mean, obviously that's repetitions and getting that going. And when you I want to do a little bit more deeper dive on some of the tight ends because I remember like some of the past drafts and a name Grant Calcaterra. He's listed here on fourth string. I heard about like a lot of promise on him. I mean, do you see any promise between
I like
him?
him.
You
I
do,
do like
okay.
him. I like him. They're going to use him for more like special teams,
Mm-hmm.
but I like Grant Guitar. There was one guy, I forget his name,
Jack
but he's
Stahl.
always hurt. And he was always hurt. He was a quarterback, but they trained him on to be a tight end.
Is that Jack Stahl?
No, I forget his name. I forgot his name. He's
Yeah.
always hurt. So as soon as you're always hurt, you're out my book.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting. You kind of look at some of these depth pieces, but it could make a difference, if you're playing in fantasy to kind of look, at some of these players, especially like, I play Dynasty and, I've picked up, a lot of wide receivers and running backs that you kind of stash away. And when you look at, you
You
know,
do you jinx? Do you feel like you're a jinx to your team if you pick a guy on your team?
like if I was to pick a player on the Bears,
Yes. Do you think you just jinxed your team?
No, no, I don't go that far. But in the past, I have stayed away from the Bears players because I've just known their offense. Like, a lot of people, especially in redraft, Justin Fields last year or even his first year, people were picking him up on redrafts. I said, no, I'm going to wait on that because I know it wasn't quite his time. He needs to continue to build. Now, Dynasty, I think obviously he's has a ton of upside, and I think he's going to do well this year. I mean, you look at Jalen Hurts as well. You look at I've always liked Devontae Smith, and when you look at some of the other you know uh, depth pieces for the Eagles. What were your thoughts on number one, Marcus Mariota being drafted, and then number two, the drafting of Tanner McKee?
Marcus Mariota, for some odd reason, the Eagles wanted this guy even when he came out of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch him, he gets nervous a lot to me. He's always got butterflies in his stomach. He's not ready to get over the big hump.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the Eagles know how to fix that problem because even when we had Michael Vick and
Mm.
he just went to after he got out of jail, Michael Vick was more about running instead of throwing, and the Eagles switched that up. So can we fix what's wrong with Mariota? Maybe.
And obviously, you're not counting on that, but that is a nice, to have him as a
It's a nice
backup.
thing, yes.
And when
And
you look
Jalen
at,
Hurts right now cannot stay healthy. That's one of the
Mhm.
things that everybody looks at.
Yeah, and obviously Tanner McKee, kind of a depth piece. Ian Book is an interesting kind of backup there. Obviously, these are camp arms, and
Yeah, these are
you
all
know,
camp arms.
yeah, and it's important to have those players, and
But
you know,
they have big arms. They can throw the ball
mm-hmm.
60, 70 yards. But are they going to be gunshot? Like, can they stay? Are they going to have enough to stand in the pocket and deliver?
Yeah, and if they're solid, I mean, obviously they could be eventually, trade pieces, things like that, for another team. Looking at,
Mariota could be a trade piece. Nobody knows. I mean,
it's true.
just like we had we had one guy that we traded to the Jets.
Mm,
So I mean, we just gave him up
mm-hmm,
because we were good at
mm-hmm.
quarterback. But I mean, you trade somebody to get more draft picks. You know,
Well, when you look at, I wanted to move into obviously season expectation. We talk about you not really being worried about any team. I mean, when you look at 2023, would you say that it would be a disappointment if the Eagles don't at least make the Super Bowl again, or what are your thoughts? Going into
if the
2023.
Eagles don't make the championship, it would be a disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
Not the Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl. Going back to the Super Bowl is hard.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't easy. Just saying, hey, we're gonna win it all. Yeah, sign me up. It's not that cut and dry.
Mm-hmm.
But if they don't make like the championship, it'd be a disappointment. It has to be a disappointment for the Eagles. So you got to find out if it was coaching or are the players getting too old or what it is.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, they've got all the talent; they're ready for it, and I appreciate you coming on. Now, where can everyone find you again?
I'm on YouTube at Philly Halftime. I'm on TikTok at Philly Halftime, and I'm on Twitter at Philly Halftime.
Well, hopefully there's a lot of good things, in this season for the Eagles. I really like kind of what they've put together, and I definitely appreciate you sharing a lot about that. And obviously, best of luck this season, and best of luck in your fantasy as well.
Thank you very much. Best of luck to you.
Once again, this has been NFL Outdated coverage series on the Philadelphia Eagles with Philly Halftime. Thanks again.
Have a good one. Thanks.